Happy holidays and welcome to DCTV's special presentation in honor of Giving Tuesday. I'm Lisa D., Director of Community Engagement, Programming, and Communications here at DCTV. There are more than 12,000 nonprofit organizations in Washington, D.C., and according to the Center for Nonprofit Advancement, 8,000 of those are registered 501c3 organizations. These nonprofits have a great economic impact in the district, generating more than $40 billion in annual revenue. What's also commendable is the enormous amount of volunteer work that is performed in our communities. Our mission here at DCTV is to provide meaningful media to the residents of Washington, D.C. and the surrounding communities. We are always hard at work providing a platform for local voices to be heard and to spark meaningful dialogue to address a variety of issues affecting those residents. In 2019, DCTV launched a unique capacity building grant program for the purpose of helping nonprofit organizations increase their communications capacity and to cultivate our communities with meaningful media. We developed this grant with the guidance of nonprofit leaders who told us that getting the message out about their organization's mission is one of the biggest challenges they face, especially in this ever-evolving digital world. So today, we are here to tell their stories and to give a platform to these meaningful messages of impact. It is truly an honor for all of us here at DCTV to celebrate Giving Tuesday and to showcase the many nonprofit organizations here in Washington, D.C. and all over the DMV that are making a huge difference in the lives of others. As communities continue to face challenges and difficulties due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the services and assistance these nonprofit organizations provide to the residents are more important than ever. Giving Tuesday is celebrated each year on the first Tuesday after Thanksgiving. It was started back in 2012 and is recognized globally as a way of encouraging people to give and to help others. It is our hope that by watching this 24-hour special programming event, you'll be inspired to find out more about these organizations and the important work that they continue to do on a daily basis. Throughout this special event, you'll be introduced to various members of DCTV staff as we come together in honor of Giving Tuesday. But first, we'll hear from the CEO of the Center for Nonprofit Advancement and the Chief Service Officer and Director of the Mayor's Office on Volunteerism and Partnerships, Serve DC, with a message for our communities about nonprofits and volunteerism. Enjoy.
Nonprofits over this last year and through the pandemic have really stood in the gap. We have reached communities that government and no other support systems could get to. The communities hardest hit and the people hardest hit with challenges. So when you look at organizations that have distributed PPE, have helped to get technology to homes where young people were being challenged with virtual schooling, providing food and even shelter, those are some of the things that were so important and more important during this challenging time that nonprofit organizations were able to execute gracefully and masterfully. There is a tremendous partnership with government and nonprofits in the District of Columbia. It's Serve DC, the Mayor's Office for Volunteerism and Engagement that the center works with to really ensure that every corner of the district has support, is meeting the needs of people in communities and making sure that that drive that we talk about is actually happening.
In 2020 and 2021, our nonprofit community stepped up in epic ways, especially during the onset of the pandemic. They leaned in to ensure that there was no disruption of essential services on behalf of our residents by providing access to food delivery, housing, and health and social services. Our mayor and local government officials also look to nonprofits to be the trusted relationship and provider to their constituents for COVID-19 testing and vaccine availability. So they have really been at the backbone and the foundation of our community during this really sensitive and unprecedented time.
stay involved, stay connected. It's not enough to just sit around and watch and see what's happening. It's super important for us all to do our part and share in the work of our communities.
What's up? I'm Carmen Stanley, Multimedia Operations Supervisor and Producer here at DCTV. Research shows that there are more than 78,000 small businesses here in Washington, D.C., which employ 250,000 people. The district is also home to several nonprofit organizations that offer enterprising and entrepreneurship services, as well as various financial workshops. Additional programs include assistance with career and economic development and teaching people how to eliminate barriers to success. These services have proven to be of value to those who are looking to enter or re-enter the workforce, and those who are looking to start their own businesses. I would like to introduce you to 6 DC area nonprofit organizations who are doing just that. They include District Bridges, Washington Area Community Investment Fund, Inc., or WACIF, Cultural Vistas, Latino Economic Development Center, District of Columbia Students Construction Trade Foundation, Inc., Enterprise Community Development, Inc., and let's take a look at the impact that they are making in our community.
We often hear is when a business closes, residents are so disappointed and so sad that that business is gone, but you ask them, when was the last time you went into that business, and they can't remember. We work with a lot of small business here in the district, and one of my favorites is El West in Mount Pleasant. And it's a local retail store with a really unique mix of products. And Veronica, the owner there, has been there for decades.
I knew Brianna for a while now, and I took a class with her because she used to come to the shop all the time. It was in reference to businesses, and I really like them. I think they have brought so much into Mount Pleasant business, more than anybody else have ever done for us.
District Bridges got started out of a very grassroots community effort, which was a bunch of neighbors coming together to host the first Columbia Heights Day Festival. We started building the groundwork for an organization that could serve the community year-round, and District Bridges was born.
They have been helpful from day one. Since I opened the restaurant, they were literally my emergency speed dial. Brianne supported me the whole entire my business from the opening up until now.
We work with businesses on a variety of subjects, and it's really dependent on what the needs of that particular business may be.
Through Brianna, we ended up also remodeling this store because she kept telling me you should apply for that business grant, and thank God I got it.
They helped me a lot how to start business, but this is like it's ongoing help that we're receiving.
Literally the first people we reached out to was District Bridges. I think they were a key factor that I'm still in business. They're always available. Like every time I call, they would answer my phone calls, and I adore them. You know, they're so important to our community. I've been here for 26 years. I have never seen anybody help us as much as they've helped.
Welcome once again to Impact Moment. I'm Alvin Jones right here on DCTV, and we always like the opportunity to bring you information about people and organizations that are helping this community. And that's why today we have Harold Pettigrew. He is the Chief Executive Officer of the Washington Area Community Investment Fund, better known as WACIF. How you doing, Harold?
I'm doing wonderful, Al. Thanks for having me today.
Hey man, it's our pleasure. Explain to the folks that are watching how WakeUp helps the community, especially when it comes to getting funds.
Absolutely. So WakeUp is a 34-year-old impact organization here in the Washington, D.C. region. And our goal is, simply put, we invest in people to start, grow, and develop small businesses. We do that through financial capital, which people know us for, but also it's through knowledge capital and social capital. So we help provide the knowledge and advisory work to help people be better business owners or to make those strategic decisions, and also help people access new networks and connections and business opportunities. All that paired with financial capital helps our organization to be catalytic and to make sure our investments in people are done right.
It sounds like for the 34 years that you guys have been in existence, you have figured out that whole matrix and how to balance it.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree more. We find that it's important because we think through this as a partnership. The moment that we invest, we're there for the success of the people that we're investing in. And so what we found is that when we do pair capital with advisory work, it makes the business better. It makes us a deeper partner, and we make better businesses throughout the region that are the anchors for our community.
How has the Washington Area Community Investment Fund had to adjust during COVID? Because a lot of the mom and pop businesses were really affected. And I'm sure you had to change strategies, not only to deal with situations that you had prepared for, but also situations that had never existed before.
For us coming into the year, we already had this anchoring towards ensuring that our communities were resilient. And that's what we were building for. What we didn't know, though, is that we were going to run head first, like everyone else, into 2020. And so we had already begun planning to build our operations, to invest in team members, and to position ourselves as an organization that could be a resource, not only to entrepreneurs, but to other entities really throughout the region. Until 2020 invited new partners into our work. We worked heavily with the District of Columbia government. And we were proud not only to see the work that was done, but the leadership of Mayor Bowser and Deputy Mayor Falchecchio, and many of the programs that were put in place to help small businesses thrive. And so for us, it was, how do we become a solution? How do we become a partner to helping the city ensure that small businesses survive? And so what that translated into was over $11 million in debt relief, resilience grants, loans as well, that were deployed to small businesses to help them to just try to survive, because that's what we were all focused on last year. For the next 2 years at least, we're going to be focused on small business recovery efforts. And so launching resilience-focused efforts, more targeted efforts focused on our communities of color, specifically entrepreneurs of color, and being focused on products, services, programs that are really focused on helping our businesses to not only rebuild, but be positioned so that they can withstand the next disruption.
Let's take a look at what are the goals and what's in the future for the Washington Area Community Investment Fund.
Absolutely. We've made sure that we've been focused on the current needs, because we do know that there's still a lot of need there as we collectively recover from the pandemic. What was important, though, for me, was that we also keep our eyes down the road. We know the recovery is going to take a couple years, at least the next 2 to 3, and making sure that we have focused, sustained attention on our small businesses and bringing the right tools and attention so that we can facilitate a just economy and a just recovery. So part of our strategy for the future has been to roll out new targeted services. One of the things we launched this year as part of that is a new business center focused on women entrepreneurs of color, because we know the importance of women entrepreneurs of color to not only leading businesses, the highest growth segment of entrepreneurs across the country, but also to our families, to our households, to our communities. And we've made sure that we launched a new service designed specifically to assist women entrepreneurs of color with new products, new programs, and also new capital that's coming. The other pieces I'll mention to that is a center-based approach that we're taking, building off the success of the Enterprising Women of Color Center, to launch a new resilience center as well. And that'll be our focus on recovery, making sure that we have those targeted services in place.
It sounds like you guys are doing some great things. HP, better known as Harold Pettigrew, the Chief Executive Officer of the Washington Area Community Investment Fund. Hey man, thank you so very much for coming on the show and all you do for the folks here in the Washington, D.C. area.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Al.
For Impact Moment, I'm Alvin Jones right here on DC TV. Once again, it's time for Impact Moment. Hi, I'm Alvin Jones right here on DC TV. And I think this is going to be a great conversation because I just feel the vibe because I have with me Jennifer Clinton from Cultural Vistas. How you doing, Jennifer?
I'm doing great, Alvin. Thanks for having me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Let's talk about the great things that Cultural Vista does.
So we are, Cultural Vistas is a nonprofit organization based in DC. And really our mission is about equipping the next generation of global leaders to solve complex challenges. And we know that our world is full of complex challenges. And we believe that really a better future and the ability to create a better future means developing better leaders. So that's what we're all about. And we do that through providing international exchange and educational experiences for people to get a better sense of perspectives, new knowledge that they gain through study or work abroad experiences.
So I was going to ask the next question, but I kind of understand it, but I just want you to talk about it, and that is the difference that your organization does and how it plays a different part more so than other organizations.
What makes us unique is this sort of global community that we bring together and fostering that strong network of leaders that really believe in the power of bringing people together to exchange ideas, knowledge, and perspectives in order to create a better future. So we're really proud of, the thousands of people that we've served over our 60-year history, and also really proud of how we foster those sort of global local connections.
Let's talk about some of the statistics, because I know that over the years you have been able to get information and see information. So let's talk about some of the things that Cultural Vistas and that you and the rest of the organization have been able to find out.
6 out of 10 people today believe that there's a greater divisiveness in their country than there was 10 years ago. And in the United States, that number is even higher. It's 85% of people believe that there's more divisiveness today than even 10 years ago. And so that, the world, and we see it both home and abroad, this polarization, the divisiveness that's happening where people are sitting in their echo chambers, people are not even talking to each other anymore if they have different beliefs and different worldviews. And our impact, there's kind of 2 big statistics from the results of our programs that we run. I'll give an example of a particular program that brings young people, graduate students from Central Europe, Eastern Europe, and Central Asia. So we're talking about Russia, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, some of the post-Soviet republics. They come and spend a summer working, many of them working in Washington, D.C., doing internships in D.C. And a lot of the emphasis on our work with them is about building those intercultural skills, that cultural fluency, so that they have a better understanding of Americans, and Americans have a better understanding of them. And 95% of them report that they actually have a more positive view of the US and a more positive view of their colleagues from those different countries, that there's a lot of conflict in that region of the world. So that makes a big difference in just having a 3-month experience that's exposing them to those different perspectives. The other question that we ask of those participants is, what are you going to do with this experience when you go back? So we talked about leadership and the importance of building better leaders for a better tomorrow, is that they believe 85% of them say that they are going to take this experience, go back to their home countries, and really make a meaningful, positive difference in their home communities. And so those are the types of leaders that we're really trying to foster, and the perspectives of being able to navigate difference and embrace difference, embrace diversity as people advance in their careers. Those are the types of leaders that we're trying to cultivate and foster.
Wow, that's so important. Here's the part where it's kind of difficult and I feel kind of mean. I'm going to ask you to narrow down to just one experience that's been going on with Cultural Vistas that talks about the great things that you're doing.
Great question. So I'm going to give an example of a project that's going on right now as we speak. And it is about bringing leaders together from the US, many of whom are DC based, with leaders from Germany, all around the topic of how do we develop an inclusive culture of remembrance, meaning both in the US and Germany, there is quite a bit of challenges that both countries have faced around how do we represent our past. So in DC, we've had lots of conversations, protests around just even national monuments that represent our past, particularly the past of our history of slavery in this country. And in Germany, it's a very similar thing of how do you represent the history of Nazi Germany? How do you develop, how do you represent the past in a responsible way, in an inclusive way that doesn't suppress what actually happened? And I revert back to a wonderful piece that Michelle Norris wrote just last week in the Washington Post. It was a long piece about how the US has a lot to learn from Germany and the way in which we portray our past and our past with respect to slavery, and that, too much, and it's been too long the case that we've really suppressed, whether it be through monuments, whether it be through what we learn in our history classes. Take the example of the Tulsa Massacre. Many people are learning after 100 years about that experience just right now. And, our role in bringing these leaders together is that they can both learn from each side about what are best practices, what are challenges that they've both encountered in representing that inclusive past.
So what you and the rest of the folks over at Cultural Vistas, and I love that name, all different cultures being able to be seen, to be heard, to be understood. I just want to thank you from myself and all the folks here at DCTV for all you do.
Thank you. And we're very much open to developing new partnerships with organizations throughout the DC metro area. And, it's a global city, and the more people we can engage in sort of those global conversations, we want to be engaging. So feel free to reach out to me. Our website is www.culturalvistas.org, and love to explore how we can work together.
So once again, all I have to say at this point is I'm Alvin Jones, and thank you for watching Impact Moment.
DC Recovery and Community Alliance was formed back in 2007. During that time, there was no other organization in the city like DC Recovery. You had AA meetings, NA meetings, so this was something to provide additional services to the community that were needed through recovery support, providing that one-on-one individual contact with a client. So they started out very small. They've moved to several different locations. I think we educate, prevent, and provide recovery support services for our clients as they go through the whole continuum of care. And our coaches engage the clients, and we keep up with the clients while they're going through their treatment. And when treatment is over, our coaches are still there providing the needed services and support that the client needs to regain their life back. And that's our main goal.
When people learn about UPO, I want them to walk away with knowing that there is an organization that is deeply committed to helping individuals and families in the community thrive in DC.
And the reason why we focus on opportunity and not just the services, because we aren't pulling people along, but what we're saying is here's the door to opportunity, and we'll walk alongside you, we will help you, because we recognize that our customers really do it for themselves.
Well, UPO has given me a second chance at life. It has shaped me, it has molded me, it has lifted me up.
We invite you to join in the anti-poverty fight with us, whether as a customer, a volunteer, a supporter, or a donor. We invite you to visit our website at www.upo.org.
Now I'm a Latina immigrant who owns a piece of land in the capital of the United States. That's pretty empowering to me, and I really feel like everyone should just give it a try and at least get informed, educate yourself about what is out there for you.
In 1991, there had been a police brutality incident against a Latino male in the Mount Pleasant neighborhood in DC, which was followed by days of riots. And so at that point, or for some time, some Latino advocates had been organizing and trying to communicate with the city and letting them know that the Latino community in DC really needed assistance and needed to be heard. So at that point, DC government, launched a study, looked into the issues Latinos were facing, and decided to invest specifically in the Latino community. So a group of advocates who wanted to launch an organization that would focus on small business development and housing launched the Latino Economic Development Center.
Really, I wasn't really sure if some people say, being a renter is okay. And for some people that might be right, but like my realtor told me, this is a step that you can take to build your wealth.
COVID has created an environment where people are a lot more reflective, decision makers are a lot more reflective about how minority communities have been treated and underserved, underestimated. And so I think there's clearly a movement, and folks are really trying to figure out how to lift us up.
They gave the opportunity to connect with a counselor, housing counselor. So I met with Maria Rosa Jimenez, who was really great. She interviewed me about whether I was eligible or if I was in a situation where I could buy a home. She helped me out throughout the process. She filled out my applications, which was really quickly. We did this online. She accommodated to my schedule, and she submitted the paperwork for me. They also recommend you realtors, and they also give you homework so you can learn about how to interview financial institutions so you can pick the right lender for you. We submitted the applications, they approved them, and I've been living here since March 2021.
Welcome to Impact Moment for you right here on DC TV. I'm Alvin Jones, and with Impact Moment, we try to be a bridge to bring services, organizations, and people in need together. And today is no exception, because today we really are dealing with bridges. We have District Bridges with us today, and Brianne Dornbush is the Executive Director, and she's with me right now. How you doing, Brianne?
Doing well, Alvin.
Well, let's talk about District Bridges, how you bring folks and organizations together. That sounds so incredible.
Thank you. So District Bridges is a community development nonprofit organization. We're based right here in DC, in Columbia Heights. We serve 10 different neighborhoods throughout the city. And our whole goal is to help connect the community, small local businesses, and community development organizations like ourselves. We love collaboration. We love helping folks who live, work, and play here in the district connect with new businesses and opportunities to just really build a thriving, more interconnected community. Our small businesses are the lifeblood of our local economy. People love to go to their local coffee shop where they walk in and they know your order and you get to chit chat with the barista. And it's really small businesses that employ so many Washington, D.C. residents. They have been particularly impacted by the pandemic. And I think the focus on how important small businesses are has only become more acute given what we've gone through over the last year. And so our work to support small businesses is really important. We get to be the go-to resource to help support them in whatever challenge they might be facing.
What are some of the challenges that you still have? And more importantly, what are some of the rewards that you've seen in the last year since we've had this pandemic?
Yeah, so getting access to small businesses is still a challenge. And often for small businesses, we have a lot of immigrant-owned businesses where English is not their first language. And so communicating with them in their language, whether that means translating documents, whether that means having one of our staff members who's able to communicate directly with them in their native language. But there's also technology barriers. And so a lot of businesses, even in the before times, did not have a website, may have not had any social media, may not use email regularly and check email. And so getting the information to them has been a creative process for us. We've utilized volunteers to pass out flyers. We literally taped flyers to doors of businesses so that when they would come back to their business, they would have that information in hand. And really, we've also used text messages. A lot of the businesses, pretty much everyone has a cell phone these days. And so they may not be checking their email, but they'll usually respond to a text. But some of the things that have been really interesting that have come out of the pandemic, and I think is an opportunity, businesses have adapted using QR codes for menus, takeout food for restaurants, and delivery services for retail stores. I think there have also been some really interesting utilization of space in our city. So if you have seen the streeteries, District Bridges is responsible for, I believe, over 30% of, maybe 40% of the streeteries that are throughout the city. The restaurants in DC have been able to utilize the parking spaces in front of their storefronts to have outdoor dining. That went all the way through the winter. The brave folks of DC were willing to still support their small businesses through the streeteries with heavy coats and heaters galore. But that was one thing that we were able to pivot and create this opportunity for small businesses. And we were able to work with DDOT and DCRA and the different DC agencies to bring this opportunity to small businesses and really help them survive through this really, really challenging time.
What you've illustrated tells us that when organizations get together with the community, with government, and with business, solutions are found.
I think one thing that is often not highlighted enough is that we really operate in an ecosystem. And so it's not just about the work that District Bridges does, it's not just the work that the government does or small businesses do, but it's how we work collaboratively together that is particularly important. There are 26 DC main streets throughout the Washington, DC area. They serve many different neighborhoods and many different small businesses. District Bridges, we serve over 1,000 small businesses, but it really is through collaboration that we're able to serve these businesses in a holistic manner. We've partnered with Rhode Island Avenue Main Street. They actually were the partners in helping us get Access Point off the ground. We also have partnered with many of our other Main Street and bid partners, business improvement districts throughout the DC area. DC is a city that really has a phenomenal small business community. We have really cool local restaurants and retailers, and we have that diversity because those business owners are passionate about the city. They want to bring their talents and passions to the community, but the reciprocation of the community then supporting those small businesses is really important. And so making a commitment to shopping local, not only does the local restaurants and retailers, not only do they hire and employ DC residents, but they also contribute directly back to the local economy. And so particularly as we're coming into a phase of recovery, we really need to think about where we're spending our dollars so that we're really investing in the development of our city.
So here's what I think the action plan is. Get your wallet, put it in your purse or your back pocket, go out, turn left, turn right, go straight out of your door, find a small local business and buy something. That's my suggestion. What do you think, Brianne?
I think that's a great idea.
Brianne, thank you so very much for coming on Impact Moment and all of the great work that you and your associates do with District Bridges.
Thanks, Alvin.
All right. So for Impact Moment, I'm Alvin Jones, and it's all for you right here on DCTV. Hello there once again, it's Alvin Jones right here on DCTV, and we have another exciting chapter of Impact Moment, and today we are going to be finding out about the District of Columbia Students Construction Trade Foundation, and with me is Paula Ralph with the organization. She's the COO, the Chief Operating Officer. How you doing?
Doing great. How are you, Alvin? Thanks for having us.
I'm doing fantastic. First of all, thank you for coming on Impact Moment. We really, really appreciate it because we love when we get the opportunity to let the community know about the great things that's going on. So let's talk about the great things that the District of Columbia Students Construction Trade Foundation is doing.
We are a nonprofit organization based in the District of Columbia and serving district students and residents for more than 15 years. We provide construction, career, and technical education programming that helps students and young adults build their careers in the building industry. And we work with service organizations that provide adult job training to district residents. Together, our high school program, which is known as ACAD, the Academy of Construction and Design, and our Adult Apprenticeship Academy offer classes that connect youth to apprenticeships that advance their career status and can give them increased earning power within the first 4 years after graduating from high school. Together, all of these programs lead to employer-recognized credentials and professional certifications.
Tell us about some changes, some information that we need to know, and how this is helping people who want to get into the trade of construction.
Well, we know that even before the pandemic, the makeup of students leaving high school and going into higher education, preparing for the workforce, was shifting and evolving. And now we know that 80% of high school students today are not on the traditional path from high school graduation into college to complete a degree in 4 years, and then to be hired into a job that is related to their college degree. We know that students and families need more options and more flexible pathways to gain marketable skills, to earn credentials, and ways to access higher education without having to take on high student debt.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Not having debt is a very good thing. The other thing, and now I know that there are different successes that you've had, and I know there was something recently that got the attention of the mayor. Let's talk about the successes that your organization has.
We have worked on a number of projects over the past almost 2 decades. So in 2010, the DC Students Construction Trades Foundation broke ground on our first student-built house on 13th Street Northwest. That project was completed in 2012, and in early 2013, it sold at market price, and we reinvested those proceeds to continue our Build a House, Build a Future construction education program. Then in the years following, ACAD students contributed to school modernization projects, and they built 2 tiny houses that were featured in the district government's Tiny Living demonstration site in Northeast Washington.
The students that get involved in this organization, and once they get in and they learn a skill and then they see that they've built something that people can drive by, live in, take a look at, how does it make them feel?
It's an enormous accomplishment. And from the most seasoned veterans in our industry to freshmen in high school who are coming into these programs and pursuing career exploration from the very beginning, the feeling of having worked with your team, worked with your fellow classmates to build something that will have lasting value in the community is a lifelong experience and memory. We often hear that industry professionals will go buy a building that they have worked on, their companies have worked on, and say, we built that. They want to tell their family. And from the mouths of the students, we hear the same thing. We built this. I can tell my family that I worked on this. It's a tremendous accomplishment, and it's a tremendous contribution to the community. For nearly 2 decades, our foundation has collaborated with industry, school, government, community, and faith-based leaders who share the same goal of helping district residents build bright futures in construction careers. And I wanted to say thank you to all of these training partners and to friends like Impact Moment and all of you who support student achievement through career and technical education. It makes a difference. Thank you.
Hey, so Paul is shouting out everybody, Impact Moment, faith-based organizations, the government, everybody that makes this work, and that's what it takes. We have to come together. In this day and time, divisiveness doesn't work. We all have to come together, and that's the final word as far as I'm concerned, Paula. You've just put the icing on the cake. So all I have to say is, for Impact Moment, I'm Alvin Jones right here on DCTV.
One of the most important skills a child can learn is how to use their voice, both for artistic expression and developing an understanding of the world around them. The Children's Chorus of Washington believes high-quality choral music should be accessible to everyone, and all children can and should experience the power and joy of singing. This is done by encouraging our students to become leaders and role models for others by allowing choristers to express their thoughts and ideas through their own voices and through the words of others in the repertoire that we teach. We believe that music has the power to influence our students to become leaders and become agents of change through a nurturing and non-competitive environment. In order to expand access, scholarships are also an ongoing organization initiative. By breaking down social and economic barriers, we can build a diverse chorus that impacts the Washington youth. To learn more about Children's Chorus of Washington, visit our website, childrenschorusdc.org.
DIW was founded in 1987 by the late Fabian Barnes, who was a soloist with the Dance Theater of Harlem for 15 years. And he founded it for a really special reason. He wanted to afford students like him the same opportunity to do what dance did for him, which was transform his life. So he founded DIW here in Columbia Heights, and the mission was to provide that opportunity for any student who was particularly committed and gifted and interested to pursue quality dance training. We have been operating DIW for now over 30 years. We are so proud to annually matriculate 100% of our students into either the workforce, the dance industry, or the actual university circuit. And some of them get full scholarships, some of them get opportunities to train professionally right out of high school, and we really owe that to Fabian.
Beacon House's programs focus on closing the education achievement gap that exists between students of color in Ward 5 and their white peers. Despite the significant racial and economic inequities our students face, they demonstrate year after year that with our support, they can and will achieve academically.
I got my book published through Beacon House. If it wasn't for Beacon House, then I wouldn't be a published author that I am today. These people have really seen me grow up since I was like 5 years old. It makes me feel like there's always gonna be people who know who I am and who like understand me. To have this as a constant, to have this place as somewhere I can be like, yeah, I know Beacon House, I actually grew up there. I actually am honored to be able to say that because it's a community. You're gonna make friends no matter what, no matter who you are. If you're just open to joining the community will accept you.
Our mission is to provide experiential learning opportunities for individuals, both for Americans going overseas and for foreign nationals coming to the United States. We believe that the world has a number of complex issues that are out there, and we need to cultivate and invest in a diverse set of talent to help them understand how they can contribute to addressing those challenges. All of our exchanges are experience-based, so that could be internships, workshops, professional visit tours. You can never stop learning, so there is no upper age limit. Most of our participants are over the age of 18, although we do have some participants in high school exchanges, but generally speaking, it's 18 and over.
One of the most, I would say, amazing, and that's an understatement, is the bonds that you create with the people that you travel, right? You're not only learning, not only with the people that you're meeting while visiting different cities and learning the amazing things that they're doing, but the sharing of knowledge with the colleagues that you're traveling with really truly lasts a lifetime. And so for me, that's a life-changing experience, right? It's as a recipient of these opportunities and being thankful and humble that I was able to do this, how do I give it back? How do I pay it forward? And so it's that life-changing experience of becoming aware of your privilege and then make sure that how can you pay it forward? And so this is why I jumped at the opportunity to do it. And so how did that change my life? Right? I mean, it's invaluable. It's priceless. It's not something that you can quantify because it lasts a lifetime. It really becomes your mission and your, part of your values in life. And so definitely Cultural Vistas aligns with my personal values, and therefore that's why I was very, very happy, and how it's changed my life. I can't really describe that.
Welcome to Impact Moment right here on DCTV. I'm Alvin Jones, and today we get a chance to talk to the good folks at Enterprise Community Development. And Nisa Wall is here. How are you, Nee?
I'm doing phenomenal.
Good, good. You're the Vice President of Community Impact Strategies, correct?
That is correct. Proud Vice President of Community Impact Strategies.
There you go. There you go. Let's talk about the great things that Enterprise does.
Absolutely. So overall with Enterprise, we operate within the Mid-Atlantic area. We're the 5th nationally. We're really the leading affordable housing provider in the Mid-Atlantic area. And as it relates to things around social equity, and especially now in this time where not only racial equity, but the wealth, inequity is prevalent, we are totally focused and committed to supporting our residents in this space.
Here's the thing that I really like that you're doing Enterprise is that you're looking at the different sensibilities and the differences as far as needs for youth, people who are in the middle ages, and people who are seniors. That to me is something that's a little different than what most organizations do.
Yeah, I would agree. Our portfolio is pretty vast. We serve over 22,000 residents within 14,000 units across the Delaware, Maryland, Virginia area. So it's a pretty vast area, as you can see. And from our demographics, a third of our residents are seniors. About a quarter of our residents are those, school-age children, youth and young adults, and then adults comprise, the remaining percentage. And so we do have a pretty diverse demographic of residents that we are committed to serving, not only in age, but also in ethnic background, because 75% of our residents do identify as non-white. And so, again, as we engage and support our families on a day-to-day basis, we ensure that all of these different factors are a part of how we approach from a customer service standpoint, as well as from an accountability standpoint.
Now, you guys have been doing this for a while. Give us some information, statistics that we may not know, but are important.
Which is huge. Slightly what I just shared with just the vast demographic area that we work with, but a lot of people may not know, like say specifically within the DC area, 5,000 of our residents live just within the DC area. And within that particular demographic, about a third of them are seniors as well. And so it really does impact how we identify resident needs, as well as identify the appropriate resources on a daily basis. This is 24/7 because we understand that in the space of affordable housing for our residents, that's their home. But home is beyond just the 4 walls and the roof that is afforded to them. Home also involves and impacts those other components such as school, access to additional job opportunities, access to health resources. We understand that all of those things are involved. And so we're pretty committed to this work and extremely excited about actually taking it to the next level.
I know that you have hundreds, if not thousands, of successes that you've been able to do with Enterprise, but give us just one. We have enough time for one, and so here's the hard part. You're going to have to figure out which one you want to choose of all your successes.
That's a good one. You're right. We have a lot of successes. We're able to engage, and we're really committed to engaging our residents on a daily basis. What Enterprise Development, Community Development has done pretty different than any other affordable housing provider across the country is that we actually have a committed resident engagement team, of which I lead, which is Community Impact Strategies. And so relative to the thousands of residents that we really engage on a daily basis, one that really jumps out at me is a resident in our Southeast DC community, Ms. Carol Saunders. She's been connected with us for about 6 years now, but her story is so unique because she really, as a Washington, D.C. native, she had challenges, sort of went abroad, but had challenges returning back to the community just relative to the cost of housing. And when you look at just not only the difference in affordable housing, but within the DC area, many individuals are in a space where almost 50% of their discretionary income goes towards housing. So as Ms. Saunders returned back to the community, it was challenging almost for a 2-year period of not having permanent housing. And so we were able to connect with her. Now Ms. Saunders, who's a grandmother of 4 children, is, when I tell you, one of our committed resident volunteers, because she really understands the challenges, not only that she faced, but a lot of challenges that her neighbors are facing right now. So she helps to coordinate resources in the community, helps to lead a few of our food distribution sites, of which just within this last year alone, through COVID and our commitment, we were able to serve 17,000 meals just through food distribution. And Ms. Saunders was one of our residents to help us reach that 17,000, a portion of that 17,000.
Wow, big shout out to Ms. Saunders for what she's been doing and helping 17,000 people. That is amazing. So we thank you so very much for coming on. Thank you for letting us know all the things that Enterprise Community Development does. And there are people right now watching who are going to be reaching out to you because they need your services.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
It's always a pleasure. So once again, we get the opportunity to talk to great people and great organizations that are doing things to help people right here in our community. That's what I like about doing Impact Moment right here on DCTV. I'm Alvin Jones. Thank you for watching.
According to the U.S. Census Bureau's American Community Survey, the district-wide median income among white non-Hispanic people was over $135,000 between 2014 and 2018. Meanwhile, the median income among Latinos was about $75,000. A 2019 report by the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments found a 21.3% gap in homeownership between white non-Hispanics and Hispanics. Welcome to Impact Moment, brought to you by DCTV. I'm Rebecca Burnett, and today I'm joined by the Interim Executive Director and CEO of the Latino Economic Development Center, which is working to give all DC residents an equitable chance at financial opportunity and stability. Welcome.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having me.
And Marjorie, your organization helps families build financial assets and both find and maintain housing to address both of the problems that I just mentioned, but you also help aspiring business owners as well. Tell me about your small business services programs and what they were founded to do.
Sure. So we have 2 sides to our house. We have housing and small business services. On the small business side, we're offering advisory services, technical assistance to folks who want to start businesses, expand businesses, or have existing businesses and they've come across a particular stumbling block. We focus on small, micro, minority-owned businesses. We also offer financing. And so we're providing folks with loans anywhere as small as $500 all the way up to $250,000, right? The idea being that someone comes in, their credit isn't in a state where any mainstream lender would even consider touching them. And we help build their credit. We help them establish, formalize in a way that can help them transition from a lender like us, an alternative lender, to a mainstream lender.
And why is it, I know this is a very obvious question for you, but why is it so important to support Latinos and Hispanics to make sure that their businesses exist, that there is a diverse business sphere in the DC area?
Sure. So economies, obviously, and local government folks, politicians understand pretty well that they have to churn, right? And so what we're trying to do is we're just trying to light fires with financing behind ideas that can employ folks in communities, right? And so Latinos, whether the broader community understands us well enough or not, oftentimes we're seen as not native to, our communities, not native to the United States, that we are taking opportunities. But the reality is that, a lot of our client base are Latino immigrants, and they're coming here with a lot of energy and big dreams. And so we're helping them make those connections, helping them understand what's needed to launch businesses in the United States, provide them with the capital that they need to launch and expand. So it's really critical. It's critical to local economies and even broader economies to make sure that Latinos are getting the financing they need. They're employing their community members. So it's all a really nice, I would say, blanket or fabric, right, that we're threading into with Latino community members.
And in addition to businesses, you also work in housing, advocating to preserve affordable housing options. Tell me about how your organization is doing that as well.
Yeah, so what we've found is, unfortunately, there are ways for landlords to unload buildings, right, and avoid certain fees and push folks out so that they can rent their units at higher rates, right? So we're working with folks on a variety of levels. We're helping tenants establish tenant associations. So we're building power among tenants and educating them on how to work together, how to become leaders in their communities, and helping them address the unsound conditions that they live in. And in doing so, it kicks off a process with landlords where some of them decide they're just going to sell their building, right? Which puts us on a new track with their tenants, which is then we're facilitating a process to help these tenants retain their affordable housing by giving them options, helping them understand that they can purchase the building themselves, or we connect them with third-party buyers that are willing to honor their affordable rents. And then the last piece of it is that as we're building their capacity to work with each other and organize, we're building these larger skills that are needed to change unsound policies, right? So we collaborate with other groups in the district that are interested in improving policy change. And so we're building these leaders that we find within buildings and help connect them to campaigns that are going on in the city to strengthen housing policy in the city in general. So it's, I would say it's like a three-prong approach to make sure that the affordability in the district remains as strong as possible.
And if anyone wants to get involved in either that advocacy work or getting some of those programs and your help, how should they find you, their website and the social media?
Sure. So our website is ledcmetro.org, and our social media handle, we're on a variety of platforms, is at ledcmetro.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you to our viewers for tuning in to this episode of Impact Moment. It's part of DCTV's nonprofit capacity building grants program, bringing meaningful media to the DMV's nonprofits that are making a difference. Find out more at dctv.org/grants and stay up to date with our latest productions on our live stream at dctv.org/live.
We are glad that you are here with us on this special day of programming as we pay tribute to the incredible and critical work that nonprofit organizations are doing to make an impact in our community each and every day. I'm Julia Reardon, Grants Manager and Producer here at DCTV. One of the many reasons that we are here today is to highlight the hard work of our nonprofit grantees serving Washington, D.C. and the greater DMV area. Through our grant program, we engage storytelling, nonprofit expertise, and showcase the impactful work that our awarded grantees are doing in the district and beyond. The vision for the DCTV Nonprofit Capacity Building Grant Program really started many, many years ago. We have always known how critical the nonprofit sector is in DC, the mecca for nonprofits. So many people are served by nonprofits in so many ways, so we started working with nonprofits to help create and distribute meaningful media that is impactful. The DCTV Nonprofit Capacity Building Grant Program was established in 2019 to help nonprofit organizations build their media capacity and to provide video benefits directly to the hands of nonprofits by having them appear in our DCTV produced original programs.
We wanted to share expertise from nonprofit leaders in a different way for our communities. This year, we have had 2 grant cycles join us. These are the recipients of the 3rd and 4th cohort of grantees. As we press through these unprecedented times, while we continue to see the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, we are now more than ever invigorated with our purpose to enhance nonprofit media capacity in these times where video and visual storytelling is needed more than ever. Congratulations to our grantees. We invite all nonprofit organizations who serve Washington, D.C. and the greater DMV area to apply for the Nonprofit Capacity Building Grant. We award grants twice a year, in January and in July. So if your organization is interested in applying for this unique grant opportunity, please visit us online at www.dctv.org/grants to find out more about the program and how to apply. Let us help your organization tell quality stories about the important work that you do to make a positive impact in our community.